Hey, I wanted to start the Project Management Best in Class series off on the right foot, so I thought I'd start off the series by talking about something really exciting. Today I will be discussing lessons learned. Hello to everyone in the project community. If you're new to the channel, don't worry about it, so am I. There's no doubt that project management is one of the most challenging occupations in the world, heaping huge responsibilities and expectations onto your shoulders. So my intention is to help experienced project managers, people new to the profession, and anybody that may be getting involved in the world of projects for the first time. I will provide tips, tricks, and lessons. Speaking of lessons learned. Today I will give a brief explanation of what lessons learned are, why you don't do them when you know that you should, and 3 tips that will change the way you think and act towards lessons learned. Let's start. In short, lessons learned is an activity that is supposed to take place throughout the life of the project, gathering information around positive as well as negative events and identifying lessons that can be applied in the future. The idea is we capture the lessons, make recommendations from them, and pass them along onto our own and our colleagues' future work, guaranteeing ongoing learning and continuous improvement. Every project manager knows this, every PMO knows this. They can bore you for hours telling you about it. But the problem is, it's not what happens. Instead, lessons are usually forgotten about until the very end of the project, when a mad scramble takes place to try to gather all of the stakeholders into a room to capture those lessons. By that time, the project is almost over and everybody wants to move on to the next thing. Even if they do get in the room, the results are usually disappointing. The focus will be on things that went horrendously wrong or just focused on what's happened in the last few weeks, and the rest of the lessons will be very unspecific, like well done on communicating to everyone, good plan. Actually, I'm lying, I don't think anyone ever compliments the plan. Most experts will tell you to improve this situation, you just have to write the damn lessons. But to do that, you must understand why it's hard in the first place. After all you need to do is regularly jot down what went well and what didn't. There are 2 reasons. And no, they're not laziness or stupidity. The first is prioritization. How many projects have failed because lessons were not captured in their log throughout the project? Probably not that many, but plenty have failed for not planning, managing risks, or engaging with stakeholders. So we can assume that whether the project manager realizes it or not, they have deprioritized this activity. After all, there are only so many hours in the day, so we need to find a way to identify and log lessons in a way that doesn't take up too much time. The second reason is you never formed the habit. Ever tried writing a diary or a journal? Most people give it a try at some point, but then they give up after a few entries. Why? It's because you never did it for long enough to form a habit. People struggle all of the time to do things that are good for them, like exercising, eating the right foods, or even just drinking enough water every day. Capturing lessons is also good for you and your work, but how do we make a habit of something like this? By reprogramming our brains, kind of. In Atomic Habits, James Clear explains how we leverage cues to form habits. When situation X arises, I will perform response Y. Done enough times, this becomes automatic. You will eventually unconsciously associate your response with the situation. You will have created a good habit, and that's what we're going to do. So, are you ready to get brainwashed? Habit 1 takes place in the pre-launch or early initiation of the project. Situation X. You're writing the business case, or a PID, or a project definition document. Include a handful of lessons in it. Response why. Even if they're in the appendix, even if the company doesn't ask for them, even if there isn't a central lessons learned log you can draw from. You can draw them from other companies, the news, case studies. Worst case, if you have no other source, go and ask a colleague, but put something in that document. So long as it is related to your project, this can really help you out. If you ask around, you may find a colleague has a warning about their experience from using a certain vendor. They could tell you about a challenge they encountered using company bureaucracy and how to get around it. You could end up saving huge amounts of time, money and effort by doing this. And at this stage, you're not juggling plans and risks and stakeholders yet. You're focused on producing a quality document to help the project get started on the right foot. So do a little extra legwork and start talking to your colleagues. When you're writing a business case, include lessons. The second habit is for when you're in flight. If you're writing a status report, situation X, always add at least one lesson learned to your log straight afterwards. Response Y. I assume you have a calendar reminder to do your status reports and you don't just rely on your PMO giving you a nudge? Set reminders for when you have to prepare reports. You'll thank me for it. And then set a reminder immediately afterwards to write one lesson into your log. You've just spent all that time thinking about what's happened in the last reporting period, so your mind is already in the right gear. You have the momentum and you don't need to summon the will to go and open the log and start writing. You will never be so busy that you cannot think of one good or bad thing to write from the last reporting period. But wait, one lesson? Consider how many months or years your project will run for. Suddenly all of those lessons will add up to a lot, and they will stretch across the whole lifespan of the project, giving perspectives that will completely elude you if you wait until closure. One lesson. Do more if you like, but always do at least one. When writing a status report, capture one lesson. The third habit is to do with project closure. Now at closure, most people just want to move on to the next thing. A lessons learned workshop will probably take place if you can drag enough people into it, and you'll gather some additional lessons. Then you'll hand them over with your closure report and move on to the next project. But wait, we can create a new habit here too. And this one doesn't just improve your work, it improves the team. When you hand over the lessons to your PMO, situation X, response Y is to always ask to see the centralized log they are being appended to. It doesn't cost you any time or effort, but it will have two benefits. Firstly, if your PMO function is a little immature, then they're just sitting on all of these lessons that you and your colleagues have spent all of that time collating and doing nothing with them. Your request will force them to start responding more effectively and maintaining a usable lessons library. It may take a few goes, but don't be afraid to push. Remind them that you have worked hard on this and you don't want the work to be forgotten. Secondly, it will set you up well for the first habit where you are gathering lessons at the start of the next project. Browse through the lessons and see what you can learn. See how your colleagues articulate their lessons and whether you can do yours better in future. But most importantly, see if there is something that can serve as a warning or an opportunity for your next piece of work. When handing over the lessons, ask to see the centralized log. And there you have 3 new habits that will completely change the way you approach lessons learned. If you have any tips on how to improve lessons learned, please share your views in the comments below. If you're experiencing any difficulties in this or other topics in project management, please feel free to contact me and I'll be happy to help if I can. Contact details are in the description. Thank you for watching the video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If so, please like and subscribe. It really helps to grow the channel. And if not, thanks for watching until the end anyway. I admire your perseverance. I am Stuart Taylor, and I am the Influential PMO.